With summer quickly winding down and fall slowly approaching, it's time to focus my attention back on Project Risky Business, our 1985 Porsche 928S. If you've been anxiously waiting for me to do the dashboard cover, I appreciate your patience. I know it's been several months. This is video, and I can't believe it's been just before Memorial Day, and here we are just after Labor Day. With 928 Day fast approaching, I really want to try to get this car back on the road as the temperature's cool and I don't need air conditioning to drive it around. So if you've been following along, in the last episode, I showed how I put the foam provided by Classic9 Leather onto the dashboard. All of the prep that was involved and how you put the thin foam to create a new edge for the dashboard. So in this episode, I'm going to take you through how I carefully positioned the Classic9 Leather replacement skin on the dashboard, making sure at every point that the seam correctly lined up as I move from the passenger side to the driver's side. Stay tuned. Just to be clear, I am not an automotive upholsterer. I've never done anything like this before. And so with a $4,000 project car, I said, you know what, why not give it a try? The hard part is, if you've been watching, removing the dash and all the other components. Replacing the skin is not that difficult. However, you better have patience, and if you don't, or you're trying to rush it, take a step away. If you rush this, you will not be happy with the results. I took my time, and it's one of those things, as a do-it-yourselfer, you're going to have a couple places here and there that you'll know about, but hopefully they're hidden enough that anybody looking at the car is just going to be amazed at how well the dash looks. All right, before I even get started, quick safety note. Take a look at what I'm wearing. That is an open can, and I'm in my messy shop area. First thing you got to do is you better have a paint respirator on. That is an open can of rubber cement or contact cement. I would use it in a well-vented area. It is flammable, but you see me wearing the respirator. If you don't have that on, you're going to have a headache within 20 minutes. So you see I also have non-latex gloves on. Invariably, you're going to get glue as you position this on, and you want to minimize getting that on the cover. So you'll find that I probably won't show up in the video, but I replace the gloves fairly often. In the lower left, you can see I've got a pile of them there. The other thing that's not noticeable, but you'll see, is a very good hair dryer. Nurse Nancy has a very good old hair dryer that I've adopted as my heat gun, and it was perfect for stretching the skin. Now, this is not leather. If you've been following along, at Classic9 Leather's recommendation, they sold me the vinyl kit, and the quality of it is quite good. The seam is the French seam that goes across the dashboard. You can see that that's quite nice, and it's a much better piece than to work with based on their recommendation. One of the first things I want to point out here is on the edge here. You'll see in the last video I put this foam on, and you see it looks kind of rough. But if you see where the arrow is pointing, I sanded the edge. So where the two pieces of foam met, Classic9 Leather recommended feathering that, and that's what I did with 80 grit sandpaper. You can go back to the prior episode and you'd see some of that and how to do that. But the idea behind that is, as the leather pulls around and there's a seam, I keep calling it leather, but the replacement vinyl, where that seam goes is going to fit into that feathered edge. So here I am, just liberally putting the contact cement on the material side of the replacement dash skin, and you saw earlier both sides of that. Now I'm starting to fit this. You see where the seam is on the edge there, and this is a slow go. The key is leave enough material on until you're satisfied you've got enough to make the thing. But this is a very contoured section. Here I am using the hair dryer to warm up the material and make it stretch. And again, this is just a very slow process. It's sped up 8 times. And I'm just trying to make it fit, make the contact cement. The heat acts to stretch the material, and it activates the glue even more. Here I am trimming slowly as I go along. Took a little bit off, too much off on that, and I'll show why in a future video. But hopefully you can see right by my right hand there that the seam is lining up nicely. The key here is work slowly. Don't overemphasizing this, but you need to spend a lot of time. I did it. Now this is an American car, so the driver's side is on the left. So I'm working on the right side here because I need to make sure those seams are lined up and everything's perfect before I go further. If I sped this up too fast, it would just make it look like shit. Glue, sometimes you're going to find you need to add more glue. You thought you added enough and it's not. So now that I've got the passenger side done right by the glove box and that very big contour, I felt comfortable enough that I could move on. I actually let that, what you're not seeing here is, I actually let that dry before I moved on. I came back an hour or so later, made sure everything was okay. Had to make some minor adjustments, but I was comfortable enough. So right where my left hand is, you see the seam of the replacement skin. And then if you can, you see where the foam is on the dashboard, just above where the defroster vents are cut out, you'll see the shading change from a darker white to the lighter light. The key here is to match the seam of the replacement skin with that line as I go across. Just taking my time, putting a little bit of glue on it, smoothing it to make sure the edge is right where I want it to be. I'll come back and fix that bubble there. A lot of working, making sure your cuts are key. And one of my mistakes was I took too much material off, and I'll show you how in the future video, I'll show how I repaired that. But that's the edge where the glove box fits in. Now you see I'm getting that. It's all about the edge at this point. The leading edge here is where it meets up with the windshield. Now I'm using the hair dryer to activate the glue, stretch the skin a little bit so that it gets taut. I'm going to keep repeating it. This is sped up 8 times. So this is quite an involved process, and don't get discouraged, just keep going. Here I am a little bit further down, just moving down. All about that seam. Once I was happy with the seam in the middle, see it, here I am, just slowly moving down, not putting glue anywhere else but that seam, and getting that centered properly. All right, you see there's a good shot of the glue. The beauty is if you're not happy with it, just pull it up again, put some more glue on, and do it that way. Now that I've got that seam happy, I went ahead and did the flat area of the dash. That's right where the defroster vents are, and the leading edge of the dash there is where it fits to the windshield. I wanted to get this good and soaked. Here I am wiping off some extra glue. That's a bottle of acetone. Just dab it onto a microfiber towel to get the extra glue off. You don't want to get too aggressive with it. But here I am using the hair dryer again, stretch, fit. I can cut the edge that meets with the windshield later. I'm trying to move it around. It's going to be interesting to see whether all of this fits when I go to put it back into the car. That's what I completed just before Memorial Weekend. Let me take you through where it's at right now. So here's a slow-mo of the seams. I'm starting with the edge. All of that's going to be hidden, but here's how the seams line up. Camera's coming in focus. That discoloration, some acetone I had just wiped on, but there's a nice going across here. The binnacle is going to hide much of that, but you can see the nice close-up of the seam. I really took my time on that. I'm pleased with that. This car was a leather dash car to begin with, so I had those defroster pieces, and those are holding up well. I didn't manage not to break them so far. There's a good shot of the whole thing as it stands right now. So that's where I stand with the dashboard. After not doing a thing with it all summer, literally all summer long, now I'm in crunch mode to try and get this thing back up by September 28th. It's a self-imposed date. Next on the list is I will be showing what mistakes were made and how I am overcoming those, as well as the glove box, what I had to do to prep that. So I'm going to try to stay on track here the next couple of weeks, get the 928 back on the road. Appreciate your patience over the summer. I'm going to try to get out as many videos as I can over the next couple of weeks. So please be patient, but I appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed this video, please press the like button and comment. That helps the YouTube algorithm. As well as, if you haven't done it, we're very close to hitting the magic 1,000 subscriber level. So if you haven't done so already, I ask, please subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more videos coming very soon, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.